25 years ago, Halo Combat Evolved changed gaming forever. It wasn't just another shooter, it redefined console FPS games, introduced one of gaming's most iconic heroes, and helped launch an entire console. But time hasn't been kind to this original. You see, as revolutionary as Combat Evolved was, replaying it today meant fighting outdated visuals, repetitive level designs, awkward animations, and mechanics that simply couldn't keep up with modern shooters. Fans had been asking for a proper remake for years, not another remaster or texture upgrade, but a complete rebuild from the ground up. Something that respected Bungie's masterpiece while finally bringing it into the modern era. Most people expected Xbox to play it safe. Instead, they may have delivered one of the greatest game remakes ever made. You see, Halo Campaign Evolved isn't trying to replace the original game, it is a game trying to remind everyone why Halo became a legend in the first place. So today, let's talk about everything Halo Campaign Evolved got right and why fans cannot stop playing it, and maybe why this remake might have just given Halo the future it desperately needs. Back in 2001, shooters on consoles weren't really a thing. Games like Doom, Quake, and Unreal Tournament dominated PC. Most people believed that keyboard and mouse were simply superior before Microsoft entered the chat. You see, at that time, Microsoft was looking for a way to break into the console market, so they needed something which wasn't just a good game. They needed a reason for people to buy an Xbox, and that's where Bungie came in. Originally, Halo wasn't even going to be an FPS. It went through multiple genres before eventually becoming the game we know today, and those experimentations ended up shaping every part of Combat Evolved. So instead of tiny corridors, Bungie built enormous battlefields which didn't throw hundreds of enemies at you. They created fewer enemies that behaved intelligently, and the result was every encounter felt different. Grunts panicked when elite leaders died, jackals protected their allies, hunters forced you to rethink positioning while elites aggressively flanked you. The AI wasn't just simply following coded scripts, it reacted. And even today, many shooters still struggle to create enemies that feel this alive. Halo never wanted every weapon to feel equally as powerful. Every gun had a purpose. The plasma pistol destroyed shield, the magnum could finish almost anything, needler rounds tracked enemies, and the sniper rifle rewarded precision. So instead of constantly replacing weapons because the numbers were higher, you carried combinations. Every encounter became a puzzle. It genuinely made you ask yourself, what weapons do I have and who am I fighting? You see, very few shooters before Halo had managed to achieve this feat. Today, when you play games like Call of Duty Warzone or Call of Duty Mobile, you see vehicles in these games, but it is important to know that Halo was actually the first to introduce this level of design. Halo Combat Evolved brought about big open world environments, and they knew traversing this environment would be a pain, so they introduced the Warthog. They brought things like driving the Warthog across huge open environments, piloting the Ghost, and commandeering the Banshees. Suddenly, Halo became something much more bigger than corridor shooting. Entire missions shifted between infantry combat, vehicle warfare, and exploration seamlessly. It created stories players still remember decades later, not because they were scripted, but because they happened naturally. Now, as legendary as Combat Evolved is, it isn't perfect. The biggest criticism has always been repetition. Later levels reuse entire environments, which is something Devil May Cry 4 adopted. They made you play Dante's levels that you had already played as Virgil, just backwards. The library in Halo Combat Evolved became infamous. Long identical corridors with wave after waves of flood. Navigation now became confusing. Now, what once impressed in 2001 became exhausting years later. Then there were the visuals. Facial animation barely existed. Cutscenes were static. Character models lacked details. Lighting couldn't create atmosphere the way modern games can. The sound quality was compressed. Environmental destruction barely existed. And even the movements, while revolutionary at that time, now felt stiff compared to today's standards. These weren't flaws because Bungie lacked talent. They were limitations of the hardware of that that time. And that's exactly why fans wanted this remake so bad. Not to erase history, but to remove those limitations and bring this game into the modern era. You see, the first thing you notice when you load up Halo Campaign Evolved is the world. The environment now feels handcrafted. Dense forests, towering forerunner structures, realistic lighting bounces naturally across metallic corridors. Even the Covenant plasma bolt lights the battlefield. The original art style is still unapologetically Halo, but everything finally looks how players imagined it back in 2001. Now Halo actually gives you modern combat without losing Halo, and this may be the remake's greatest achievement. You see, many remakes occasionally change how a game feels. Halo doesn't. The movements are smoother, gunplay feels more responsive now, animations flow naturally, but underneath all of that, Halo Campaign Evolved is still combat evolved. The sandbox still rewards experimentation, the shield system still creates rhythm of attack, retreat and counterattack. Vehicle still remains chaotically fun, enemy encounters still encourage creativity instead of running in a straight line. This remake only modernizes the experience without modernizing away its identity, which is something that is actually tricky to pull off. Even with the beautiful graphics, Halo Campaign Evolved is still about its enemies. Watching grunts panic, seeing elites coordinate attacks, hunters forcing you into risky flanks, the remake doesn't rely solely on visuals, it preserves the intelligent combat that Halo made legendary. And because the animation system is vastly improved, those behaviors become even more believable now. Enemies don't feel like targets, they feel like soldiers. Sound has always been one of Halo's greatest strengths. The iconic soundtrack returns, but everything surrounding it now feels richer, like Jack Reacher. Weapons now have more weight, vehicles roar, explosions echo across valleys, and Covenant weaponry crackles with energy. Halo Campaign Evolved now creates battles that sound as large as they look. There is a reason people are talking about Halo Campaign Evolved. People aren't just posting screenshots. You see, at the heart of everything, Halo has always been at its best when it creates stories players never planned. And this remake preserves that magic. It reminds people why sandbox shooter became so popular in the first place. In an era where many shooters rely on progression systems, battle passes, and endless unlocks, Halo Campaign Evolved is proof that great gameplay is still enough. Sure, Bungie may be dead like Ronaldo's World Cup ambitions, but for years, Xbox has struggled to define itself. Halo Infinite had incredible gameplay, but its troubled launch damaged the confidence in the franchise. Many fans began wondering whether Halo's best days were behind it, but Halo Campaign Evolved answers that question, not with nostalgia alone, but with quality. It proves Halo still has something unique to offer. It proves Xbox understands why people fell in love with this series, and perhaps most importantly, it gives an entirely new generation the chance to experience one of gaming's greatest adventures in the best way possible. Halo Combat Evolved was never remembered simply because it was first. It was remembered because it fundamentally changed how shooters were designed. This remake doesn't rewrite history, it celebrates it. It takes everything Bungie got right, removes the limitations of aging hardware, and delivers the experience players imagined all those years ago. And that is why the reviews have been very positive to this game. Not because it is different, but because it finally lets Halo be exactly what it always deserved to be. And honestly, if this is the future of Halo, then for the first time in a very long time, the franchise feels exciting again. But hey, that's just me. What were your thoughts about Halo Campaign Evolved? Let me know in the comment section. What did you think Halo could have done right? Or what did you think you wanted to see in this remake that you didn't see? Let me know everything in the comment section, and I'll be waiting for you guys down there. Please, if you enjoyed this video, kindly hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell icon so you can get notified when I upload videos like this. And until next time, peace and love.
Incredible.